as the cloak of night wraps a world in its serene embrace. The night invites you to a haven where stories transcend time and space. Let the quiet of the evening be your canvas, on which the vivid hues of the imagination paint endless possibilities. With every gentle breath, drift further from the mundane, entering a sanctuary where tales of valor, enchantment, and unseen worlds await your presence. Here, amid the twilight whispers, your spirit is free to roam vast, uncharted territories, guided by the soft cadence of storytelling. Allow these narratives to weave around you, a comforting shroud leading you towards realms of peace and slumber. Embrace this journey into the night, where each tale is a lighthouse guiding you to the shores of dreams. Sleep well, explorer of worlds, as the tapestry of fantasy cradles you into rest. The Kangaroo and Sleep, a journey of resilience, chartering the beginning of binding the heart of a lush, vibrant meadow where flowers bloomed in a riot of colors, and the air buzzed with the melody of life. Tell of the young kangaroo named Kip. Kip was unlike any other kangaroo in the meadow. He was smaller, quieter, and much more cautious. While his peers spent their days leaping high and far, exploring every nook and cranny of their verdant known, Kip preferred the safety and comfort of his little corner, nestled along the whispering grasses, undappled sunlight. Kip's world was a small one, filled with simple joys. He loved to watch the butterflies dance on the breeze, listen to the birds and morning songs, and nibble on the tender shoots of grass that tasted of dew and sunshine. The other animals often encouraged him to venture beyond the familiar, to explore the vastness of the meadow and beyond, but Kip always hesitated. The unknown frightened him with its shadows and mysteries and the possibility of failure. Despite his fears, Kip was deeply loved by the meadow's inhabitants. They saw in him a gentle soul, a friend who listened more than he spoke, whose kindness was as vast as the sky. They believed in him, even when he doubted himself, and hoped that one day Kip would find the courage to leap beyond his fears. As the seasons turned and the wheel of the year spun towards the dry season, the meadow buzzed with a different kind of energy. The animals gathered more frequently, their discussions filled with concern and a sense of urgency. The dry season was always a challenging time, with water becoming scarce in the meadow, with luxuries retreating under the sun's relentless gaze. Chip felt the change in the air, the undercurrent of worry among his friends, and for the first time, a spark of curiosity ignited within him. What lay beyond the meadow that could help them through the dry season? What adventures awaited beyond the horizon, in the lands he had never dared to explore? Sure, feathered him like a vine, holding him back from taking that first crucial leap. The meadow was all he had ever known. Its boundaries were the edges of his world. To leap beyond them was to leap into the unknown, a thought both exhilarating and terrifying. As the dry season approached, the animals decided to hold a great gathering. It was to be a meeting of minds and hearts, a time to share knowledge, to plan, and to support one another. Kip knew this gathering would be different. It was not just about surviving the dry season, about thriving, about finding new ways to live and grow. And so, as the moon rose high and the stars twinkled at diamonds against the light, Kip made his way to the gathering, his heart aflutter with nervous anticipation. Little did he know, this night would mark the beginning of an incredible journey. A journey not just of miles and landscapes, but of heart and soul. The journey that would teach him about the power of courage, the strength found in vulnerability, and the boundless possibilities that lay just one leap away. As the animals began to assemble, Kip took a deep breath, feeling the gentle embrace of the night air. He looked around at the familiar faces, each lit by the soft glow of fireflies, and felt a sense of belonging. Yet, deep down, he knew that to truly belong, we must first embark on the greatest adventure of all. The journey within. The gathering was about to begin, and with it, the first chapter of Kip Mel is a merry tale. A tale not just of a kangaroo and his leap, but of every heart that has ever yearned to discover its true strength, to bounce back from fear, and to leap towards the light of its dreams. As the moon climbed higher, baking the meadow in a silvery glow, the animals of the land gathered in a circle, large and small, from the nimble rabbit to the wise old oak. It is filled with anticipation, a shared understanding that this gathering was unlike any other. Kip, with his heart thumping in his chest, found a spot near the edge of the circle. From here, he could see the faces of his friends, illuminated by the gentle light of the fireflies. Their expressions a mix of hope and concern. The first to speak was the wise owl, her voice as clear and soothing as the night breeze. "Friendship," she began, "I are here on this beautiful night, not just to bemoan the coming dry season, but to find a way to rise above it. Each of us has a gift, a strength that we can share to ensure not just our survival, but our flourishing." Her gaze swept across the gathered animals, each nodding in agreement. "But," she continued, "to discover these gifts, we must be willing to venture beyond the comfort of our meadow. We must seek out new experiences, face challenges, and learn from them. Only then can we truly understand our potential." A murmur of agreement rippled through the circle. Kip felt a knot of fear tighten in his stomach. The idea of leaving the meadow, of venturing into the unknown, was daunting. Yet, as he listened to the wise owl, a tiny spark of curiosity began to flicker within him. The wise owl's gaze settled on Kip. "Kip," she said, her voice gentle, "you're kind and wise beyond your years. Your journey could teach us all a great lesson. Will you accept the challenge to venture beyond the meadow? to discover your true strength and share it with us. All eyes turned to Kip, and for a moment, he felt as if he could not breathe. The thought of leaving his safe haven, of facing the unknown, was overwhelming. Yet beneath the fear, he felt a pull, a desire to prove to himself and to his friends that he was capable of more. Kip swallowed hard, his voice barely a whisper as he replied, "Yes, I will go. I will find my strength and bring back what I learned to help us all." The cheer erupted from the circle, a chorus of support and encouragement that warmed Kip's heart. His friends gathered around him, offering words of advice, tokens of luck, and promises of their thoughts and prayers. In that moment, Kip felt a surge of courage, a feeling that perhaps he could do this, and it was not alone. The wise owl smiled, her eyes twinkling with pride. "Yeah, Jerry would not be easy, Tip," she wrote. "Go with our blessings, and may the moonlight guide your path." As the gathering dispersed, Kip stood alone under the vast night sky, the weight of his decision settling upon his shoulders. He looked out beyond the meadow, towards the dark silhouette of the forest that marked the beginning of his journey. A journey of self-discovery, of learning to bounce back from failure, and of understanding the power of positive thinking. With the first rays of dawn painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Kip took a deep breath and made his way to the edge of the meadow. He looked back one last time at the home he had always known, then turned his face towards the rising sun. With a heart full of hope and a spirit brimming with courage, Kip took his first leap into the unknown, embarking on an adventure that would change him in ways he could. As Kip ventured beyond the meadow, the world seemed to expand before him, filled with wonders and dangers alike. The sun, now fully risen, cast a golden light over the land, turning the dewdrops into sparkling jewels. The beauty of it all filled Kip with a sense of awe. But beneath the surface, his nerves danced with apprehension. Before long, Kip reached the edge of the Whispering Woods, so named for the way the leaves whispered with secrets of old. It was here that the wise owl had mentioned Kip would face his first challenge. The trees stood tall and ancient, their branches intertwined like the stories of the countless creatures. Coziest. "Remember," he whispered to himself, echoing the wise owl. "Every leap is a step towards discovering who you are." With a determined nod, Kip took his first steps into the forest. The shadows danced around him, and the quiet was a stark contrast to the lively meadow he had left behind. It wasn't long before he encountered a clearing where the sunlight poured in, creating a natural spotlight on what seemed to be an ancient stone pedestal. Standing solemnly in the center, curiosity drew Kip closer, and as he approached, he noticed an inscription on the stone, worn by time but still legible. And to move forward, one must leap to work just with our legs. Kip pondered the words, their meaning sinking deep. It was then he heard a flutter of wings, and looking up, he saw the wise owl perched on a branch overhead. Kip. She called down to him, her voice echoing softly through the trees. This is your first challenge. Beyond this forest lies the river that talks. But to reach it, you must leap from this pedestal, trusting not just in your strength, but in your heart's courage. Kip's heart raced. The pedestal was high, higher than any leap he had attempted before. The thought of leaping from it filled him with a fear so potent, it threatened to root him to the spot. Yet, he remembered the support of his friends, the hope in their eyes, as he had accepted this quest. Gathering his courage, Kip climbed onto the pedestal. The forest around him fell silent, as if holding its breath. Kip closed his eyes, feeling for the first time the true depth of his desire to grow, to be more than he had been. With that desire fueling his heart, Kip leapt. The air rushed past him, time seeming to slow as he soared. And then, with a grace he had never known, Kip landed on the other side of the clearing, his heart pounding with exhilaration and disbelief. Well done, Kip, the wise owl said, her voice warm with pride. You have leapt with your heart, and it has carried you further than you ever imagined. As the owl flew off, leaving Kip to continue his journey, Kip felt a shift within himself. He had faced his fear, and though it had not vanished, he had discovered a strength. With a newfound confidence, Kip set off towards the river that talks, ready for whatever lessons awaited him. The whispering woods seemed less daunting now, the shadows more friend than foe. As Kip made his way through, he had taken his first leap of faith, a leap that had changed him in ways he was only beginning to understand. Kip's journey through the whispering woods had been both a trial and a triumph. The leap from the pedestal under the watchful eyes owl was not just a physical leap, but a leap of faith, a faith in himself that he had never known. With the forest now behind him, Kip emerged into a landscape that unfurled with new challenges and wonders. The sun was high, casting a golden glow over a land that seemed to stretch endlessly before him. He knew there was no turning back now. He'd made a promise, not only to his friends but to himself, to discover his true strength, to find the resilience within that could help his community thrive through the dry season and beyond. With each step, Kip felt the weight of his decision. Leaving the meadow, his home, the only world he had ever known, was a daunting choice. Yet, it was this very choice that marked the true beginning of his journey. For in deciding to leave, Kip had taken the most significant leap of all, a leap towards becoming who he was meant to be. As he journeyed on, the landscape began to change, the grass underfoot giving way to a sandy path that wound its way toward the sound of running water. It was the river that talks, the next marker on his journey. A guide that would lead him to understand the flow of life's challenges. Thicken's thoughts wandered back by the meadow, to his friends who had cheered him on, their faces alight with hope and belief in him. He carried those faces in his heart, a beacon that lit his way. Then with each step, the timid, cautious kangaroo who had once lived in the safety of a meadow began to fade, replaced by a braver, bolder Kip, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The sound of the river grew louder, soothing symphony that called to Kip, urging him forward. And as he crested a small hill, the river came into view, its waters sparkling in the sunlight, whispering secrets in a language Kip approached the riverbank, his heart open and ready to listen. To learn the lessons the river had to share. It was here, at the river that talks, that Kip's next challenge awaited. A challenge that would teach him the importance of resilience, of flying on obstacles rather than confront them, with the river's gentle babble as his companion. Kip took a moment to reflect on how far he had come, the leap of faith in the whispering woods, his decision to embark on this journey had set him on a path of discovery of growth. He was no longer the same kangaroo who had hesitated at the edge of the meadow. He was Kip, the traveler, the seeker, the one who leapt with his heart. As he prepared to engage with the river's wisdom, Kip knew that each step, each challenge, was shaping him into the kangaroo he was meant to be. With a deep breath, he stepped closer to the water's edge, ready to listen, to learn, and to leap once more into the unknown. As Kip stood at the edge of the river that talks, he felt a calmness wash over him, a stark contrast to the tumultuous emotions that had accompanied his decision to leave the meadow. The river, with its gentle colors and flowing water, seemed to beckon him, its surface shimmering with the promise of lessons yet to be learned. Drawing a deep breath, Kip closed his eyes, allowing the sound of the river to fill his senses. It was then that the river began to speak, its voice a soft murmur that melded with the rustling of the leaves and the distant call of birds. Kip, that's it. Welcome to Steve's story. With said, opening his eyes, Cat saw that the river had formed a series of stepping stones before him, each a little further than he was accustomed to leaping. It was a physical manifestation of the river's words, a path that required both faith and flexibility. With the river's wisdom echoing in his heart, Kip approached the first stone. He knew that to reach the other side, he would need to trust in his own strength and in the guidance of the river. And so, with a burst of determination, Kip leapt. The sensation of flight, brief as it was, filled Kip with the exhilarating mix of fear and freedom. Landing gracefully in the first stone, he felt a surge of confidence. Each leap after that became a dance, a harmonious blend of movement and intuition that carried him across the river. upon reaching the opposite bank. Kip looked back at the path he had traversed. The stepping stones, once a daunting challenge, now stood as a testament to his growth. He'd learned to leap not just with his legs, but with his heart, embracing the flow of life with courage and trust. The river that talks whispered its approval, its water sparkling under the sun's warm embrace. Well done, Kip. Remember this lesson as you continue your journey. The path may twist, then turn, but back the river, you have the strength to navigate it. With a heart full of gratitude, Kip thanked the river for its wisdom. The lesson of the river: to flow around obstacles with grace and resilience, was when he would carry with him a guiding light in the challenges to come. As Kip ventured forth from the river's edge, the landscape began to change once more. The lush greenery gave way to a denser, more mysterious terrain. Whispering woods lay behind him, and ahead, the forest of shadows loomed, its depths holding new lessons and trials. But Kip was no longer the same Kangaroo who had hesitated at the edge of the meadow. He was a traveler on a journey of self-discovery, armed with the wisdom of a river and the courage of his own heart. With each wave, he grew stronger, more resilient, ready to face the shadows and the light that lay flat. The first leap of faith across the river that talks had been a pivotal moment. A step towards understanding the power of positive thinking and the strength that comes from embracing change. As he moved forward, Kip knew that whatever challenges awaited him in the forest of shadows, he was ready to meet them with a bound in his step and a heart full of hope. Having mastered the lesson of the river that talks, Kip felt a newfound sense of confidence and purpose swell within him. The river's wisdom to flow and adapt, to embrace the journey with resilience and grace, had ignited a spark of understanding in his heart. As he ventured away from the river's nurturing banks, the landscape around him began to shift, heralding the approach of his next challenge. A meadow and a river now behind him, Kip found himself on the outskirts of the forest of shadows. It was a place whispered about in tales told on the full moon. A place where night and dark danced in an eternal embrace. Yet, with each step he took, Kip felt the weight of his experiences grounding him, lending him strength. Before he crossed the threshold into the forest, Kip paused, reflecting on the river's final words to him. "The journey ahead is yours again, but remember, you carry with you the strength of the meadow, the wisdom of the river, and the hearts of the things who believe in you." With these words, out was the shadow of shadows. The canopy above seemed to weave a tapestry of light and darkness, dappling the forest floor with patches of sunlight that flickered like fireflies in the night. As he ventured deeper, the forest's whispers grew louder, a symphony of sounds that seemed to speak directly to his soul. It was here, amidst the ancient trees and hidden paths, that Kip encountered a stream, a child of the river that talks. Meandering through the forest, the stream called out to Kip, its voice a gentle echo of the river's wisdom. Keep lit saying, the lessons you have learned are at the beginning. Ahead lies the forest where shadows hold fears and doubts. Remember, it is not the light that defines you, but how you choose to dance in the shadows. Thick listened, the strewing his words weaving through his thoughts like a gentle breeze. He understood now that the journey was not just about overcoming obstacles, but about embracing them, learning from them, and finding the light within the darkness. Thanking the stream for its guidance, Kip moved forward, his steps light yet purposeful. The forest of shadows, with all its mystery and whispers, no longer seemed a place to fear, but a place of learning, a part of his journey toward self-discovery. As the day waned, Kip found himself in a clearing. The light of the setting sun broke through the canopy, illuminating an ancient oak at the forest's heart. It was here that Kip felt the culmination of his journey through the forest, a moment of clarity and understanding. He realized that the shadows he had feared were not barriers, but invitations to grow, to explore the depths of his own courage and resilience. Just as the river flows around obstacles, Kip learned to navigate the shadows, finding his path through the light and darkness alike. With the wisdom of the forest of shadows, etched up toward the horizon, where the sun dipped below the edge of the world, painting the sky with hues of gold and purple. He knew that his journey was far from over, that beyond the forest lay new challenges and adventures. Yet, as he took his first steps out of the forest, Kip felt a profound sense of peace. He had faced the whispers of doubt and fear, and in doing so, had found a strength and a light within that would guide him on the paths ahead. The thin river that talks in the forest of shadows. Now behind him, Kip's journey of self-discovery. Each step a testament to the power of positive thinking. Can be independent forward. Chapter 2. Trials and Tribulations. After emerging from the lessons of the river that talks, Kip found himself at the edge of a realm far different from any he had known. The forest of shadows. This was a place where the trees grew so close their branches intertwined, creating a canopy so dense that daylight struggled to pierce through. The air was thick with whispers, and every rustle seemed like a secret being passed from leaf to leaf. Kip, with the wisdom of the river still fresh in his heart, stepped into the forest with a cautious yet determined stride. The light that dappled the ground was a tapestry of shadows and beams, painting the forest floor in a mosaic of light and dark. It was beautiful but disconcerting, for the shadows seemed to move with a life of their own, playing tricks on the eyes and mind. As he ventured deeper, the forest's whispers grew louder, and the shadows began to dance with greater fervor. Kip could feel the tendrils of fear creeping into his heart, a fear that fed in the uncertainty of what lay hidden in the darkness. It was a fear of the unknown, a challenge far different from the physical leap across the river or the tangible path through the meadow. Kip remembered the river's lesson: to flow like water, to adapt and find a way around obstacles. He realized that the shadows were not barriers but illusions, challenges of the mind that he could overcome by focusing on the light, both within and around him. Drawing a deep breath, Kip closed his eyes and listened to the forest, beneath the whispers and the rustling. He could hear the steady heartbeat of the earth, reminded that beneath the play of light and shadow, the ground was firm and unchanging. Opening his eyes, Kip chose to focus on the beams of light that broke through the canopy, using them as beacons to guide his way. With each step, Kip felt his confidence grow. The shadows being reduced, he learned to walk in the light, to use the clarity it provided to navigate through the darkness. The deeper Kip ventured into the forest of shadows, the more he understood that the true challenge was not the forest itself, but the battle within, against the fear and doubt that shatter his heart. Here in the heart of the forest stood an ancient tree, its branches reaching high into the sky, as if holding the light itself. Kip felt drawn to the tree. As he approached, he noticed carvings in its trunk, symbols and marks that told of those who had journeyed to the forest of shadows, each moving down on Anthofer. Kip reached out, tracing the carvings with his fingers, feeling a connection to those who had walked this path before him. Inspired, he took a small stone and added his own mark, a simple symbol that represented his journey. A yip, a river. Now, a tree bit more life. Standing back, Kip looked at his mark, a testament to his journey and the lessons he had learned. The forest of shadows had taught him to confront his feet the light in the midst of darkness, and to trust in the strength within him. With the setting sun casting long shadows, Kip left the clearing, his heart lighter, his spirit stronger. He had faced the trials of the forest of shadows and emerged not just unscathed but transformed, ready for the next chapter of his journey. The forest of shadows, with all its whispers and illusions, had been a formidable trial, but it was also a profound teacher. He tripped to discover the light within himself, a light that will illuminate his path, leaving the enigmatic embrace of the forest of shadows, with its whispered secrets and the dappled light. Kip ventured into a new realm. The trees here were alive with chatter and movement, a stark contrast to the silent, wide mass forest of the forest he had just passed. Sunlight filtered through the canopy in warm, golden beams, illuminating a vibrant world buzzing with life. It was long before Kip discovered the source of the commotion. A troop of monkeys. There, for a mix of chestnut and gold, swam from branch to branch with a grace and exuberance that captivated him. They ate among themselves, casting curious glances at Kip, their eyes gleaming with mischief. Kip, ever the observer, paused to watch, a smile tugging at his lips. He had never seen creatures so full of life and laughter, so utterly carefree. It was then that one of the monkeys, bolder than the rest, swung down from a low branch, landing with a soft thud on the path before Kip. "Hello, traveler," Monkey said, his voice laced with humor. "What brings you to our part of the woods?" Kip, taken aback by the monkey's speech, replied, "I'm on a journey of discovery, learning from the world around me." "A journey of discovery, you say?" The monkey's eyes twinkled. "Then you've come to the right place. We have much to teach you, but be warned. Our lessons are not for the faint of heart." Before Kip could respond, the monkey leapt back into the trees, his laughter echoing through the air. The other monkeys followed suit, their movements a blur of color and light. Kip, intrigued and slightly bewildered, continued on his path, only to find his way blocked by a series of playful obstacles. Branches mysteriously lowered to impede his progress, vines seemed to move of their own accord, and fruits dropped from the sky with precise timing, narrowly missing him. Each challenge was met with peals of laughter from the canopy above, the monkeys delighting in their tricks. Kip, though initially frustrated, soon found himself laughing along with them. He realized that this was the lesson. Patty saws humor in the face of adversity, embracing the spirit of the game. Kip navigated the obstacles with a lightness of heart he hadn't felt before. He dodged the fruits stuck under branches, and even managed to catch a vine mid-swing, propelling himself forward with a laugh as the sun began its descent, casting the woods in a soft pattern. The monkeys descended from their perches, surrounding Kip in a circle. The bold monkey from before stepped forward, a smile of genuine respect on his face. "You have learned well, Trevor," he said. "Many become angered by our tricks, but you have shown patience and humor. These are strengths more valuable than you know." Kip, catching his breath, smiled. "Thank you for the lesson. I will carry it with me on my journey." With a final chorus of laughter and goodbyes, the monkeys vanished into the trees, leaving Kip alone on the path, his heart lighter and his resolve strengthened. The encounter with the mischievous monkeys had been unexpected, but invaluable. Kip had learned that patience was not simply the ability to wait, but to maintain a good attitude while waiting. Humor, too, was a powerful ally, a way to lighten the burdens of the journey, and to connect with the world in a way that transcended language and species. As Kip continued on his way, the laughter of the monkeys still echoing in his heart, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The trials and tribulations of the journey were not obstacles, but opportunities for growth. Each encounter a chance to learn and to become a better version of himself. After his encounter with the mischievous monkeys, Kip's path led him to the edge of a vast valley. As he approached, a dense fog began to roll in, cloaking the world in a blanket of white. The valley ahead was a missing man, Here, the familiar contours of the land disappeared, and travelers found themselves adrift in a sea of mist. Our direction lost its meaning, and familiar became foreign. Kip stood at the valley's edge, peering into the swirling fog with a mix of trepidation and awe. He had learned much on his journey so far. About resilience from the river that talks about facing fears in the forest of shadows, and about patience and humor from the playful monkeys. Yet this new challenge seemed different. A test not of his skills or his knowledge, but of his courage. Taking a deep breath, almost immediately, the world around him vanished, swallowed by the dense mist. The ground beneath his feet felt unsteady, and the sounds of the forest behind him faded away, leaving only the silence of the fog. Kip walked cautiously, each step an act of faith. The fog disoriented him, making it difficult to tell if he was moving forward or merely walking in circles. Doubt crept into his mind, whispering fears of the unknown and the unseen. But Kip remembered the lessons of his journey, the importance of trust, of believing in the strength within, even when the path ahead was unclear. It was then that Kip closed his eyes, focusing not on the fog that obscured his vision, but on the sound of his heart. He listened to its steady beat, a comforting rhythm in the midst of uncertainty. And as he listened, he began to walk again, guided not by sight, but by feeling, by the intuition that had grown stronger with each step of his journey. The fog seemed to sense his resolve, for as Kip moved forward, guided by the sound of his heart, it began to whisper, not with words but with feelings. Chants of warmth and cold of open spaces and narrow passages. Kip followed these whispers, his confidence growing with each step, his fear replaced by a sense of wonder at the valley's hidden beauty. Time lost its meaning in the valley of fog, but eventually Kip noticed a change. The fog began to thin, and shafts of subtle light pierced the mist, illuminating his path. And then, quite suddenly, he emerged from the fog, finding himself on the other side of the valley. He turned to look back, but the fog had closed in again, hiding the valley as if it had never been. Kip realized then that the Valley of Fog was not just a place, a lesson in courage, in trusting oneself, even when the way forward is not clear. He had navigated through uncertainty, guided by the sound of his heart, and in doing so had discovered a strength he did not know he possessed. With a heart full of gratitude for the lessons learned, Kip continued on his journey, the valley behind him, that its teachings carried within. He understood now that courage was not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. It was a lesson that would serve him well in the challenges to come. A beacon of light. The valley of fog had tested him, but Kip had emerged stronger, his resolve unshaken, his spirit undimmed. The height laying new trials, new opportunities to grow, but Kip faced them with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that whatever the journey held, he had the courage to meet it. With the valley of fog now a whisper in the wind behind him, Kip's journey brought him to the foot of a towering mountain. Its peak lusted the clouds, as if it indeed touched the sky. The sight of it was both awe-inspiring and daunting. This mountain, known to those few who spoke of it as the Sky, was a testament to the world's wild beauty and its challenges. Kip stood at the base, yes, the place of it the earth kissed the heavens. Here, the lessons of the river, the forest, the monkeys, and the valley converged, urging him forward. To climb the mountain was to ascend into the unknown, to face a physical challenge that mirrored the internal journey he had undertaken. The path before him was steep, winding through crags and cliffs that promised both peril and wonder. Kip took his first steps with a deep breath, his heart steady with the courage, the perseverance he had honed on his journey. The mountain, with its rugged beauty and daunting scale, called to something deep within him, a desire to rise, to overcome, to see, to ball from a vantage point not yet known. As Kip ascended, the air grew thin, and the terrain became more demanding. Each step was a testament to his determination, a physical manifestation of his internal growth. The mountain challenged him, not just with its steep paths and jagged edges, but with its sheer immensity. It was a reminder of the world's vastness and his place within it. But Kip was no longer the kangaroo who had hesitated at the edge of the meadow. With each trial he had faced, he'd grown stronger, more resilient, more capable of facing the challenges that lay before him. The mountain, with all its daunting majesty, was but another step on his journey of self-discovery. As he climbed, Kip found moments of beauty. It took his breath away. From ledges that offered views of the world spread out below, he saw the forests, rivers, and valleys he had traversed. Each a chapter in his story. The perspective from the mountain slopes showed him the interconnectedness of his journey. How each challenge, each lesson was a part of a greater whole. The higher Kip climbed, the more he realized the importance of perseverance. There were moments when the summit seemed impossible, when his muscles ached, and his breath came in short gasps. But in those moments, he remembered the lessons of the valley, the importance of courage, and the laughter of the monkeys, urging him to find humor even in hardship. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Kip reached the summit. Standing at the top of the world, he felt a sense of accomplishment that was overwhelming in its intensity. The view from the summit was unlike anything he had ever imagined, a panorama of the world below, bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. From this vantage point, Kip saw not just the beauty of the world, but the beauty of his journey. He understood that life, like the mountain, offered a multitude of perspectives, each valuable, each unique. The importance of perseverance was clear to him. Now, not just in the physical act of climbing, but in the willingness to continue, to push through the challenges, and to see the journey through to its end. As Kip descended from the mountain, the lessons of the scourge etched in his heart, he carried within a new understanding. He had learned that to climb a mountain was to engage in a dialogue with the earth, to listen to its stories, and to add his own. The mountain had taught him the beauty of perseverance, the value of viewing life from different perspectives, and the strength that comes from facing challenges head on. With the now and now behind him, Kip continued on his journey, richer for the experience, ready for the next challenge, and more determined than ever to complete his quest of self-discovery. Descending from the majestic heights of the mountain that touches the sky, Kip this path, now doomed to the mouth of a cave, known to those few who had whispered its name as the Cave of Echoes. This was no ordinary cave. It was said to be a place where one's innermost thoughts and fears were reflected back, magnified by the echoes of the cave's deep and winding passages. Standing at the entrance, Kip felt it had a little to do with the cool air emanating from within. This challenge was of a different nature, one that required him to face not the physical trials of the world outside, but the internal echoes of his own doubts and fears. With a deep breath, Kip stepped into the cave. The light from the entrance quickly faded, leaving him in darkness. He paused, allowing his eyes to adjust, and as he did, the silence of the cave was broken by whispers. These were not the whispers of the wind or water, but the echoes of his own past doubts. "You cannot succeed," echoed a voice so like his own from the time before his journey began. "The journey is too great. The challenge is too many." Kip felt a twinge of the old fear, the uncertainty that had once held him back. But he was not the same kangaroo who had stood at the edge of the meadow, afraid to take the first leap. With each step of his journey, he had grown, learned, and overcome. He pressed on, deeper into the cave, the echoes growing louder. Each doubt, each fear he had ever known, bounced off the walls, confronting him with the shadows of his past. But as he walked, Kip realized something profound. These echoes, though they wore the guise of his own voice, were not truly his. They were the remnants of who he had been, not who he had become. With this realization, Kip found the strength to reply, his voice steady and strong. "I have faced the river that talks, climbed a mountain that touches the sky, and then from the valley of fog. I am not who I was. I have grown, I have persevered, and I will continue." As his words echoed through the cave, something remarkable happened. The whispers of doubt began to fade, replaced by the echoes of his own declarations of strength and growth. The cave, which had seemed so daunting, now felt like a crucible, a place of transformation. Kip continued through the darkness, guided by a newfound light within himself. The cave's passages, thus menacing, now seemed to lead him forward, urging him on. And then, as suddenly he stood at between, the darkness gave way to light. Kip emerged from the other side of the Cave of Echoes, blinking in the sunlight, stronger and more certain than ever. He had confronted the echoes of his past doubts, and emerged victorious, understanding now the power of positive thinking. The cave had offered him a mirror to his soul, reflecting not just the fears and doubts, but the strength and courage he had gained on his journey. As Kip looked back at the entrance to the Cave of Echoes, he realized that this challenge had been a gift. What had forced him to confront the parts of himself he had wished to leave behind, to acknowledge them, and to let them go. He had learned that the power of positive thinking was not just in denying fear and doubt, but in facing them, acknowledging them, and choosing to move beyond them. With the Cave of Echoes behind him, Kip felt a sense of liberation, of freedom from the chains of doubt that had once bound him. He understood now that his journey was as much about discovering the world within as the world without. Renewed in spirit and purpose, Kip continued on his journey, his heart light, his steps sure. The trials and tribulations he had faced had not only tested him, it had revealed the depth of his courage, the strength of his heart. After emerging from the transformative depths at the Cave of Echoes, Kip's journey led him through a landscape that gradually softened. The harshness of the mountain and the menace to nostalgia. As twilight deepened, casting the world into a violet and indigo, Kip stumbled upon a sight that took his breath away. Moonlit oasis. He had an instant in the midst of tyranny. The oasis was a mirror to the sky above, its radar's calm, reflecting the silvery glow of the moon and the twinkling of the stars. Palm trees whispered in the gentle night breeze, their fronds casting delicate shadows on the sand. It was a place that seemed untouched by time, a secret corner of the world where the weary traveler could pause and find solace. Kip approached the water's edge, his heart filled with a sense of wonder and tranquility. Here in the quiet beauty of the oasis, he found a moment to reflect on the journey that had brought him so far from the meadow he once called home. As he sat by the water, gazing at the reflection of the moon, Kip thought of the challenges he had faced, the fears he had conquered, the lessons he had learned. Each trial, from a leap across the river that talks to the echoes of doubt in the cave, had shaped him, molding him into someone braver, wiser, and kinder. But it was not just the trials that filled his thoughts. It was the friends he had made along the way. The wise owl had set him on his path. The playful monkeys who had taught him the value of laughter, and the gentle whispers of the river. Each encounters, each thread in the tapestry of his journey had enriched his adventure, filling it with color and life. Kip realized how much he had grown, not just in courage and strength, but in understanding and compassion. The journey had taught him to see the wise wiper with wonder, to appreciate the beauty in the struggle, and to find joy in the journey, not just the destination. The oasis with its serene beauty and reflective waters was a perfect metaphor for this moment of introspection. Just as the waters mirrored the moon and stars above, Kip saw his journey reflected in the depths of his own heart. Each challenge a star, each lesson in moonbeam a light of a flame. And as he sat there, a figure against the backdrop of the night, Kip felt a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the journey, for the trials and tribulations that had tested him, and for the friends who had walked with him, if only for a part of the way. He understood now that the journey was not just about finding his strength, about discovering the beauty of the world and the kindness of those who inhabit it. With a heart full of memories and a spirit renewed, Kip rose from the water's edge. The oasis had offered him a moment of peace, a chance to look back on the path he had traveled and to look forward to the road that lay ahead. He knew there were still challenges to face, still lessons to learn, but he faced them with a newfound confidence. But there he felt himself. A mood oasis, a tranquil interlude in his adventure, was a reminder of the beauty of reflection, of pausing to appreciate how far one has come, and the dream of the horizons yet to explore. Kip left the oasis under the cloak of night, his steps light, his heart full, ready to continue his journey under the guiding light of the stars. Chapter 3: A Leap of Triumph. As dawn broke, casting the first light of day across the land, Kip found himself at the edge of a vast expanse that stretched as far as the eye could see. The desert of desolation lay before him, its name a whisper among the winds, a place where the sun reigned supreme, and the sands told stories of travelers long past. It was a land of extremes, of blistering days and freezing nights, a test of endurance, resilience, and hope. Kip stood at the threshold, the coolness of the night still lingering in the air, aware that the journey ahead was his biggest challenge yet. The desert demanded respect, a vast sea of sand and sand that cared little for the ambitions of those who dared to cross it. Yet, Phil felt a quiet determination within him, a resolve forged to the trials he had faced and the lessons he had learned. With the first steps into the desert, Kip felt the sun's heat begin to intensify, a relentless force that seemed to sap the strength from his limbs. The sand beneath his feet shifted with every step, making progress slow and laborious. Kip remembered the lessons of the moon that talks and the mountain that touches the sky. The importance of adapting, of finding a way to move forward even when the path was difficult. As the day wore on, the desert showed no mercy. The vastness of the sands, the absence of shade, and the mirages that danced on the horizon tested Kip's resolve. But within him burned a light of hope, a beacon that had been kindled in the depths of the cave of echoes and nurtured in the tranquility of the moonlit oasis. Kip began to conserve his energy, to travel during the cool hours of the morning and evening, and to rest in the shade of the sparse dunes when the sun was at its zenith. He learned to listen to the desert, to the whisper of the wind, and the stories it carried, stories of perseverance and hope that echoed across the sands. The desert of desolation was a teacher, harsh but fair, imparting lessons of survival and the importance of hope. In the vastness of the desert, Kip found a strength he did not know he possessed, a resilience that carried him forward, step by painstaking step. Nights in the desert were a stark contrast to the day, the sky a tapestry of stars, each rim a reminder of the journey he had undertaken. Kip found solace in the night, in the coolness of the desert air and the beauty of the starlit sky. It was a time for reflection, for looking back on how far he had come and dreaming of the journey still ahead. As he traversed the desert, Kip realized that hope was more than just a feeling. It was a choice, a decision to believe in the possibility of reaching his destination, even when the path was obscured by the sense of doubt and fear. The desert, with its desolation and beauty, taught him that hope was a light that, once kindled, could not be extinguished, even by the harshest winds. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Kip saw the end of the desert, the sands giving way to the promise of green lands beyond. He had crossed the desert of desolation, not just with his feet, but with his heart, carrying with him the lessons of the desert, the importance of conserving energy, the resilience to face the harshest conditions, and the awe of hope. As Kip stepped out of the desert, he turned back to look at the vast expanse he had crossed, a smile of triumph on his face. The desert of desolation had been his biggest challenge yet, but it had also been his greatest teacher, showing him that even in the most desolate of places, hope could thrive, guiding him forward on his journey to the dominion of triumph. As Kip left the boundaries of desert of desolation behind, his heart buoyed by the triumph of crossing the vast expanse, he entered a realm where the air shimmered with a different kind of heat. Here in a valley nestled between newly verdant hills, he encountered a sight that would forever change his understanding of strength, failure, and rebirth. In the heart of the valley stood a magnificent tree, its branches wide and welcoming. Beneath its shade, glowing with an inner fire that lit the area in a warm, golden light, was a creature of legend, a phoenix. Its feathers shimmered in hues of red, gold, and orange, like the flames of a sunset, and its eyes held the wisdom of ages. Kip approached with reverence, aware that he was in the presence of a being whose life cycle spoke of transformation and renewal. The phoenix regarded Kip with a gaze that seemed to pierce through him, seeing not just the kangaroo that stood there, but the journey that had brought him to this place. Kip, if only spoke, its voice a melody that resonated with the very air of the valley. You have traveled far and faced many trials. Each step has brought you closer to understanding the essence of your spirit. There is a lesson yet that you must learn. The cycle of life, the embracing of change, and the power of rebirth through failure. Kip listened, his heart open to the wisdom of the phoenix. He had encountered failure on his journey, moments when doubt and fear had threatened to overcome him. Yet, each time, he had found within himself the strength to rise again, to continue on his path. The phoenix spread its wings, the light from its feathers casting patterns on the ground. Life, it began. It was a series of cyclings, of endings and beginnings. To live is to change, to grow, and sometimes to fail. But failure is not the end. It is a part of the journey, a step on the path to understanding and wisdom. Kip nodded, recalling the moments of his journey where he had stumbled, where he had doubted his ability to continue. Each time, he had listened, learned from the experience, and moved forward with a deeper understanding of himself. The power of rebirth lies in the acceptance of change, in the understanding that from the ashes of the old, the new can emerge, stronger and more vibrant. The phoenix continued. Your journey is a testament to this truth. Each trial you have faced, each obstacle you have overcome, has brought you closer to the essence of who you are. Kip felt a profound sense of clarity as the phoenix's words sank in. He understood now that his journey was not just about reaching a destination, but about the transformation that occurred with each step, each leap of faith. As you continue on your path, the phoenix said, drawing its wings back, remember the lessons of the cycle. Embrace change, welcome the opportunity to grow, and know that from failure, you can rise, reborn in wisdom, with strength. With a final nod of acknowledgement to Kip, the phoenix took flight, soaring into the sky, its form dissolving into a burst of brilliant light that seemed to ignite the very air. Kip watched a sense of peace and purpose filling his heart. He had had the phoenix's wisdom, the cycle of life, the embracing of change, and the power of rebirth through failure. With this knowledge, Kip felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, secure in the understanding that each end was at a new beginning, each failure a step towards greater wisdom and strength. With the wisdom of the phoenix still warm in his heart, Kip journeyed back to the meadow, the place where his adventure had begun. The path home was both familiar and new, seen now through the eyes of one who had traversed the depths of valleys, climbed mountains that touched the sky, and learned from the cycle of life itself. Thredo, whence the entirety of Chip's world was now a chapter in a larger story, a story of growth, courage, and discovery. As Kip approached the edge of the meadow, he paused, taking in the sight of the lush greenery, the vibrant flowers, and the gentle flow of the river that had once seemed like the boundary of his existence. The meadow was as beautiful as he remembered, but Kip was not the same kangaroo who had timidly ventured beyond its borders. He carried with him the experiences of his journey, lessons learned from each challenge faced and overcome. Stepping into the meadow, Kip was greeted by the familiar sounds and sense of home. The birds sang from the treetops, a melody of welcome that stirred memories of days spent in quiet contentment. Mixed with the joy and return was a sense of transformation, a knowledge that the meadow was not just a place to return to, but a starting point for all the journeys yet to come. The animals of the meadow, who had watched Kip leave with hopes and wild wishes, now gathered around him, eager to hear of his adventures. Kip shared his story as beaten of the river that talks, its list of resilience, the fullest of shadows, and the torch found her there, the playful monkeys, and the importance of life familiar. With each tale, the animals listened in awe, seeing in Kip not just a friend, but a source of inspiration. Kip spoke not just of the places he had seen and the challenges he'd faced, but out of the internal journey, the growth that had occurred within him. He spoke of fear and doubt, of hope and perseverance, and of the understanding that true strength comes from embracing change and learning from every step of the path. As the sun set over the meadow, casting long shadows and painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, a sense of unity and a purpose filled the air. Yet, Mrs. Janie had not just changed him. It had touched the hearts of all who listened, sparking the flame of curiosity and courage within them. Kip realized that his return to the meadow was not an end, but a beginning, a new chapter of the ongoing journey of life. The meadow, with its familiar beauty, was a reminder of where he had come from, a foundation upon which the lessons of the journey could be built. It was a place to reflect, but also a place to dream of new horizons, new challenges, and new adventures. As the night fell and the stars began to twinkle in the sky, Kip looked around at the faces of his friends, seeing in them the reflection of his own hope and determination. The meadow was no longer just a home, but a launching point, a place from which to leap into the unknown, armed with the wisdom of the journey and the knowledge that every challenge faced, every obstacle overcome, was a step toward become. Kip, the kangaroo, who had once feared to take a single leap, now stood ready to leap it again, to explore the uncharted paths of his own heart and the world beyond. A meadow with its gentle beauty was a reminder of the journey's value, of the lessons all along the way, and of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. In the heart of the meadow, under the canopy of stars, and the watchful eyes of the moon, the wise owl awaited Kip's return. The air was filled with anticipation, not just for the stories of adventure, but for the final challenge that would mark the culmination of Kip's journey. The animals gathered, forming a circle around Kip, and the wise owl's faces were light with curiosity and admiration. The wise owl, whose wisdom had set Kip on his path, now regarded him with a gaze that held both pride and a hint of mystery. Kip, she began, her voice echoing softly in the night. You have journeyed far and learned much. You have faced trials with courage, navigated challenges with wisdom, and embraced the lessons of the world with an open heart. But there is one last challenge you must face, a test of not just your strength and your knowledge, but of your spirit. Kip, standing before the wise owl, felt a surge of determination. The journey had prepared him for this moment, each trial a step that had led him to the heart of the meadow, to the final challenge that awaited. The final challenge, the wise owl continued. is to leap higher than you have ever leapt before, not just with your legs, but with your heart. You must reach the top of the great oak, where the moon kisses the branches, and retrieve the feather of light. His feather is a symbol of the wisdom and resilience you have gained on your journey, a beacon to guide you in the days to come. Kip looked at the great oak, its branches stretching high into the night sky. The topmost limbs, barely visible in moonlight. The task seemed daunting, a physical leap that mirrored the leaps of faith he had taken throughout his journey. Yet, within him burned a fire of confidence, ill purpose, fueled by the trials he had overcome and the lessons he had learned. With the eyes of the Medan's inhabitants upon him, Kip took a deep breath and focused on the great oak. He remembered the leather talks and the lesson of resilience, a forest of shadows, and the porch found within the purple murkies, and the importance of laughter, the vast desolation, with each memory. Kip felt a strength welling up inside him, a conviction that he was ready for this final leap. And so, with the heart filled with the wisdom of his journey, Kip leapt. He leapt with all the strength of his legs, with all the courage of his heart, and with all the hope of his spirit. The leap was a flight, a soaring ascent that carried him higher than he had ever imagined possible. The animals watched in awe as Kip climbed through the air, his form silhouetted against the moon, until he reached the top of the great oak that rasped the feather of light. As Kip descended, landing gracefully among his friends, the meadow erupted in cheers and applause. He had passed the fine challenge with flying colors, demonstrating not just his physical strength, but the depth of his wisdom and resilience. The wise owl flew down to Kip, her eyes shining with pride. "Kip," she said, "you have shown us all the power of a heart that leaps with courage and hope. The feather of light is yours, a symbol of the journey you have undertaken and the wisdom you have gained." Kip held the feather of light, feeling its warmth and energy. He knew that the final challenge was not just a test, but a celebration of the journey, of the trials faced and the lessons learned, of the friendships made and the wisdom gained. As the meadow settled into a hushed silence, Kip looked around at the faces of his friends, at the wise owl, and at the great oak. He knew that this journey, with all its challenges and triumphs, was but a chapter in the greater story of his life. And with the feather of light in hand, he was ready for whatever adventures lay ahead, for the leaps of faith and sights of discovery that awaited him. In the heart of the meadow, under a sky painted with the soft hues of dawn, the animals gathered to prepare for a celebration unlike any seen before. The festival of Bounce was to be a jubilee in Kip's honor, a tribute not only to his journey, but trials he had overcome, but also to the spirit of adventure, the pursuit of soft discovery that lived within each harvest. The meadow buzzed with excitement and activity. Squirrels strung garlands of flowers between the trees. Birds sang melodies that filled the air with joy, and the river itself seemed to dance, its waters sparkling in the sunlight. Every corner of the meadow was touched by the magic of anticipation, a collective effort to create a festival that mirrored the PA and resilience of Keep's journey. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting a golden glow over the land, the festival of bounce began. Animals from all corners of the meadow and beyond gathered, their eyes bright with curiosity and wonder. Every gains that tested agility and strength, inspired by Keep's ninjas. They leaped across stones to mimic his crossing of a river that talks, a shadowy maze that accompanied his journey through the forest of shadows. But it was not just a celebration of physical feats. The festival also hosted storytellers who recounted tales of adventure and discovery, of challenges faced and overcome. These stories, woven with the threads of Keith's journey, inspired listeners to contemplate their own paths, their own leaps towards self-discovery. Kip, watching the festivities with a heart full of gratitude, felt a deep connection to the joy and camaraderie that filled the meadow. He saw the reflections of his journey in the faces of his friends, in the laughter of the young and the wisdom of the old. The festival of bounce was a celebration of his journey, yes, but it was also a celebration of the journey that resides in every heart. The potential for growth and discovery that lies within each soul. As the day turned to evening and the sky blazed with the colors of sunset, the festival reached its climax. It was calm to the center of the meadow. The wise owl waved with a gentle smile. She spoke of Kipisune's journey, of the courage he had shown and the wisdom he had gained. But more than that, she spoke of the inspiration he had become, a beacon of hope and resilience for all who dreamed of taking their own leap of faith. The festival culminated in a moment of collective joy, as all the animals took part in the great bounce, on deep into the air that symbolized the shared spirit of adventure, the communal pursuit of growth and understanding. The meadow was filled with laughter and cheers, a chorus of hearts leaping together towards the promise of tomorrow. Kip, standing amidst his friends, felt an overwhelming sense of belonging and purpose. The festival of bounce was not just a celebration in his honor, but a testament to the journey of life itself, to the leaps of faith that defined the path of self-discovery. He realized that his journey had not changed only him. It had touched the lives of all who had shared in his story, inspiring them to embark on their own journeys of growth and understanding. As the festival wound down and the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Kip looked around at the meadow, transformed by the joy and unity of the celebration. He knew that the festival of bounce would be remembered not just as a tribute to his journey, but as a celebration of the journey that awaits every heart brave enough to leap towards self-discovery. With a heart full of joy and eyes bright with the promise of new adventures, Kip knew that the festival of bounce was but a beginning, a first step on the continuing journey of growth, understanding, and the endless pursuit of the horizons that know they could. In the quiet aftermath of the festival of bounce, as the meadow sobbed under a blanket of stars, and the gentle murmur of the river sang on in the night, Kip steadying the The festival had been a celebration of his journey, a tapestry of joy, learning and the community. But as Kip looked towards the dawning of a new day, he understood with a profound clarity that his journey was far from over. The journey he had embarked upon, sparked by the challenge of the wise owl and fueled by his desire to discover his true strength, had yet and to face fears, embrace change, and yet, as he stood there, for a gentle breeze whispering through the meadow, Kip realized that these experiences were not just milestones on a path now completed, but stepping stones to a future filled with endless possibilities. Kip was held with a sense of anticipation and excitement for the journey ahead. The lessons learned from the resilience taught by the river that talks to the wisdom of the phoenix's rebirth had prepared him to face the world with a new perspective. He now understood that every challenge was an opportunity for growth, every failure a chance for a renewal, and every leap a step towards discovering the boundless potential within. As the sun rose, casting its warm glow over the meadow, Kip felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey had transformed him, not into a different kangaroo, but into the fullest expression of himself. He was still Kip, but Kip who had leapt through shadows and light. Kip who had danced with the desert wings. Kip who had soared on the wings of wisdom and hope. With a bounce in his step, Kip turned to face the meadow, his heart beating with the rhythm of new adventures waiting just beyond the horizon. He knew that the path ahead would be filled with challenges as daunting as those he had faced with valleys of doubt, but he also knew that within him burned a light of courage, resilience, and wisdom, a light that no shadow could dim. The meadow, once the entirety of his world, was now a part of a larger map, a canvas of dreams yet to be explored. Kip realized that his new beginning was not just about seeking new adventures, but about being a beacon of hope and inspiration for others. He had learned that the true leap of triumph was not the final leap to the top of the great oak, that the continuous leaps of faith taken every day in the pursuit of growth, understanding, and the joy of the journey itself. As Kip set off into the meadow, the animals who had gathered to get him sang all song, not just a kangaroo embarking on a novel adventure, but a symbol of what it means to dare to dream, to leap towards self discovery, and to embrace the joy of life and the hunt and adventure. And so, as the story of the Kangaroo sleep that close, we leave Kip at the threshold of a new beginning, a testament to the power of the journey and the endless possibilities that lie encouraged to take that first personally. Yep. Today's now is a reminder to us all that the journey towards self-discovery is never truly finished. It is a beautiful, ongoing dance of leaps and bounds, all learning and growing, and the first chance just out of joy.